Hi, Leo.
Working. Oh, I hear some recording. Yeah,
There we go.
now
There's
it's working.
Right.
Yeah. So do you want to do some introductions, Phil, and then I can move ahead?
Yeah, thanks, Leo. Appreciate it. Jennifer, thank you very much for the opportunity to do this. Leo and I are very excited to get the opportunity to work with you all for this semester on this opportunity, which we think is going to be very enlightening and enriching for you all, but at the same time, hopefully will have very meaningful impact to our business from a revenue growth perspective, and as we continue to look to expand some of our services and customer relationships. So Leo's got a presentation. As you can see, we'll go through that here in a second, but maybe as a quick introduction of myself, as Jennifer had mentioned, I lead the global sales for Sterigenics. I've been with the organization for about 9 years. Prior to that, I spent 20 years with General Electric in a variety of operational, but primarily about 15 years in commercial roles. So I'm very excited about this opportunity and getting the opportunity to share with you a little bit more about Sterigenics. Please, as you can tell, Leo is from Brazil. He loves to converse with people, so don't be shy on asking questions and engaging. And we look forward to partnering with you all over the semester. So, Leo.
Yeah. So thanks, Professor Spencer, for having us the opportunity to talk with the group here. It's a pleasure. Not only a pleasure because of the education aspect of this, but it's the first time we do this with in university. And this is very exciting because this can help us with the decision-making process, with the understanding of the industry we work with. So it's very, very nice for me to have this open door here with the team. I hope not to get too boring. If it does get too boring, please pop up a question, interrupt me. This is not like I'm not selling to you guys, and you guys are not selling to us. This is a thing we are doing together. And I also appreciate Phil saying I'm from Brazil. That saves me explaining my weird accent. So that saves me a lot of time saying, hey, why I say some creepy words here and there. So I really appreciate that. About myself, I have over 20 years working in healthcare and highly regulated industry across the Americas. So I'm with the company for 10 years. Phil is my boss, so I hope I don't do anything wrong here today because I can be missing the data I want and also get in trouble. So it's a very exciting moment to have the exposure of Sotera Health and Sterigenics for you all. So with that, I want to kick this in and just checking. Everybody hears me okay? Just okay. You guys see the screen? It's working? Because yeah, technology is great. It's amazing, but I just want to double check I'm not sharing a black screen or something. So first things first, highly overview. So I know Professor Spencer shared with you all a little bit about our company and probably you guys went to the web page and this kind of thing. So we are Sotera Health. We are three business entities, right? And if you research about this a little bit, you found these three units in our portals. And basically, what we do in a daily basis, one of their key industries we have is sterigenics. So we are a global leader in sterilization, right? And the first time I saw this, I thought, hey, this is very boring. Sterilization, what's the deal here, right? Once you start digging this a little bit more in deep, you guys will find out, of course, everything on the healthcare, medical device, but a bunch of other applications. Like we will talk later today about the food commercial applications, pet industry, but there's a bunch of others. We have cross-linking, we have semiconductors, gemstones. So for those of you who have more interests, it's worth looking. Sterigenics is a global leader in sterilization services. We have over 48 facilities. We operate in 13 countries, and this is very high regulated. When I say highly regulated, it's easy to think about that on the healthcare pharma segment. But if you think about every other segment and the regulations across the world to guarantee products are safe to people to use and sell, it's pretty challenging. Another company part of our Sotera group is Nordium. that manufacturers and commission one of the key raw materials we utilize in stereogenics, but they are also, of course, manufacturing and sell that to others. So they are the largest provider of cobalt 60 that can manufacture and commission worldwide. So this is a one-of-a-kind company. It's very interesting. The first time I got to know Nelson products and everything, it looks to me very sci-fi corporation. And in the end of the day, it is sci-fi, but it's not that fancy as we can imagine when we see on movies and things like that. And the last one is Nelson Labs. So it's our lab division where we can help customer in the journey of developing and creating the products and then testing the products for the industries they play in. With that, we can support every customer we work with from the development of their products to the sterilization. So we can cover a bunch of that life cycle. Going a little bit more in stereogenics, that's our key focus here today. We have three key technologies that is listed here. And this is a little bit how we split the product mix we operate today. So a little bit more than a little bit more, 49% gamma irradiation. If you guys went a little bit about that, is the technology that we use, cobalt 60. Then we have the ethylene oxide, it's a gas technology, and e-beam, that is it's an electron technology used to sterilize products. So this is a short overview about our enterprise, Sotera Health. Any questions or any curiosity among any of the three industries here? Just to start?
Leo, maybe I'll just add something to your
Sure.
introduction just on how this goes together. So essentially we sterilize products, right? We're not killing the microorganisms, we're sterilizing them so they can't reproduce. Nelson Labs, one of their primary functions in supporting us is identifying what is that bacteria, what is that microorganism that we're trying to kill, right? And we do that by sterilization. And as Leo mentioned, the three primary types of sterilization that we provide are the gamma, the EO, a gas, and electron beam. Okay?
Good. My second slide here is this.
Leo,
Yeah.
there's a couple questions. People have their hand raised. Veronica?
I don't see the hands.
I'm not sure. Professor, do you want us to just wait until the end of presentation to ask certain questions, or?
I think especially if it's a clarifying question about what they're talking about, go ahead. If it's sort of a big conceptual question, maybe they're at the end. So
I just, because you guys were talking about different technology mixes here, I was just wondering, any of them are like harmful or unsafe for communities, for public, because I know that you are sterilizing the packaging, like, kind of like a stage within the value chain, correct? For different products, I guess it's a different stage and value chain. So once you sterilize these products, are they unsafe in any way or harmful for people that come in contact with these products?
That's a very highly asked question, not only about the after for the process, but also the operational of that. And the answer for you, every sterilization technology can be dangerous if not used correctly. So when we think about everything we do, this is highly regulated from how we operate the facilities to how the process is done for the customers. So in the end of the day, if done right, according to the regulations that's in place, it's totally safe. So there is, when we talk about a medical device, there is a validation process. There is a bunch of lines and gates in that process to guarantee that the product itself is completely ready to use in the end. And even after our process, the customer also performs some additional checkpoints, so it's safe. Done right, it's safe. Noah or Victor, does that get your question, Veronica? I don't know if you have anything deeper you want to know.
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I just had a quick question about Nelson
Yeah,
Labs. Are they looking
sure.
out for new organisms or bacterias or ensuring as they pop up that the technologies you do have can fully kill them and they're kind of looking out for you guys as you go along, so it's a constantly back and forth communication with Nelson Labs? Is that kind of your relationship to a certain extent?
That's a very nice question. So to get to that point, um, the most hard to kill microorganism is coated spores. And we use that kind of microorganism as our biological indicators for validations and tryouts. So Nelson is always looking for new contamination profiles that can come up into products, but nothing have beaten the hardest one. So unless it beats what is the most challenging one to terminate, we will always focus on the worst case scenario contamination. That's a coated sporum there. But yes, they have a bunch of researches on endotoxins, cyanobacteria, and a bunch of other things ongoing, but not limited. We have, if you go into Nelson services offering, you will see that it's much more than just microorganisms or bacteria contamination. They can go to product modification. They can go to extractables and vegetables. So that level of detail goes down very much specifically for depending on the product. So to your question is a yes, but for sterilization purposes, we take the benchmark at worst scenario to kill, and we use that as a benchmark to work on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just to add to that, so as a customer is partnering with us for sterilization, Nelson will analyze that product to understand how contaminated is it. So there's contamination in the supply chain, the raw materials that go into it, their manufacturing process, all of that contamination. They evaluate how contaminated a product is and the type of microorganisms, and all of that feeds into the recipe that we'll then use depending upon the modality of sterilization we're going to use. How much of that modality do we need in order to create the sterilization that we're targeting? Okay.
Yeah, very, very good question. If you want to know more about Nelson, just let me know. It would be very interesting to share later. Victor,
Hey, how's it going, gentlemen? Can you
doing
guys hear
great.
me?
Yeah.
Outstanding. So, my name is Victor Yarrow. My background's in military intelligence, and it's something that really popped off the screen that caught my eye is Cobalt 60. So, my next question is kind of addressed to
Yeah.
Nordian. Uh, do you guys have any future plans with investments in DRC right now? I understand that it's a pretty tumultuous terrain but M23 ISIS has been pretty much kept at bay, and I think there's a couple of different pipelines that are currently being built, both from the United States and some proposed stuff from China. And I'm just curious because DRC has, I think, 75% of the cobalt. It has cobalt 59, but I think you guys can refine that into the 60s. So I was just curious if you guys were looking in that area and if you needed an expert on it.
It's a very fun question. Do you want to take this one? Do you want me to talk, Phil?
Sure. So first off, I'm not quite sure where you're going with the question, but I will say this. Cobalt 59 is plentiful. We take a very, very small amount of cobalt 59. We put it into a nuclear reactor for 3 to 5 years. It then grabs a neutron and becomes cobalt 60, a radioactive isotope. And Nordion then distributes that all throughout the world. And there are various countries that we partner with and work with in terms of the nuclear reactors that we partner with. You'll see something that just came out today on LinkedIn on Nordion in one of their more recent partnerships. So we're a global provider as it pertains to cobalt 60. And obviously, because it is a radioactive isotope, it is heavily regulated as we transport and move that throughout the world.
So that's a really
Yeah, that
fascinating
does answer my question.
Yeah, it's really interesting and fascinating. I'm afraid we're going to run out of time if we go down all of the paths that are really fascinating and not very related to the project. So let's
Sure.
try to,
Yeah,
at least at the beginning, let's stick to the project and then we can maybe open it
but
up.
I love the questions. When we interview salespeople or people to work with our company, and they don't have curiosity about what we do, being a nuclear corporation, something is wrong. So I'm very happy with the questions. Okay, moving forward, we added here a map, like where we are. So as we go through the path to understand the market and do the TAMs and SAMs, I think location may be very important. But I added a note that manufacturing location is one, distribution location can be another factor to take in consideration. So this is where we operate with all our global facilities. So in this map, you can have everything. In our website, you can click on and see a little bit more on the details on that. Just a reference as you go down with the studies with the TAMs and SAMs, okay? Our role, how do we play? So we spoke a little bit about that already. So we can work with the customers from the R&D and development of that product all the way to the quality control tests. We don't do the distribution component of that, but everything in between we can offer to the customers in that journey. So that makes us a one-stop shop for a lot of customers in the healthcare industry or food industry or cosmetic industry. And if you guys want to know a little bit more in details, like how can we participate in some of these areas, I will be happy to take some offsite questions because that one can be very, very much in details, okay? Sturgenics. So let's start with the core focus here today. Short slide to everybody. So this is the technologies that we can offer today on high scale for sterilization, right? And when we talk about sterilization, we can think about, and then we move to commercial products, right? It's not that we have sterile food. I will have decontamination. I will have aseptic. I will have phytosanitary. So with the technologies we have today, we can offer services to a variety of different products. And what will determine what technology should we use is the product itself. So I don't know how much down should I go with the technical explanation, but all technology can deliver sterilization for products, not on the same efficiency, same speed, same price, and with the same product limitations. So in the left side, you have the radiation technologies, gamma, E-beam, and X-ray. When you think about these three technologies and you start to dig on the customers and the products that you will, hey, can these guys treat these or not? In the short answer is majority of the products, yes, we can. There is a short list of products we cannot treat. I will give that list to you guys later on the road. And majority of that is because of regulatory. So we cannot treat organic products. We cannot treat products with high content of fat or sugar. But besides of that, there is not a lot of limitations with what we can offer. In the right part of this slide, there's the gas technology. We are not going much into the gas applications for the commercial segments. But every technology can deliver the work, and what will determine the best is the product. And during the validation stage, we will determine for the radiation side two numbers that you probably hear as you go down the road. That's the dose we will work the product. And you will see with some customers, and I don't know if you call them or benchmark it, you will hear about the minimum dose. That's the radiation dose. It's where we deliver what they want in the product. And the maximum dose is where we start to create something they don't want. So that's our range. And after that, we can start to go down the road and determine what's the best for the product. So I don't know if you guys want to go down in technology. Phil, do you want to go down in technology level?
No.
Okay, fair. So as we said, we are highly regulated. When you start to digging for benchmark TAMs and SAMs, some of the agencies that regulate our work can be a source of data. So they will have list of products, they may have list of partners, may have list of entities that partner with them. So here's a short list, but there is more. There is more agencies in Brazil, there's more agencies in Mexico. So it's kind of endless, but it can be a good source of data if you want to pre-screen or map products down the road. Okay, so now we start to go in where we really want, like food and commercial products. And this is the short list we got from the segments we work that we want to partner to understand a little bit more of the market, TAMs and SAMs, and how we can help you guys to understand better the areas we work to please screen this properly. So the first one, we will talk about food products and ingredients. Second one, the pet treats, animal food and ingredients. Food beverage packaging, cosmetics, and I will give a list of some of our competitors that also can be a source of data as well as geographical spread when you start to do market pre-screening. So first segment, food products. If I go with you guys today in the supermarket, we can get the trunk of the car full of products that are irradiated in 5 minutes. It's highly used across the industry. And basically, why the customers are treating food and food ingredients with sterilizations to guarantee that in the end of the day, this is safe for everybody without the addition of a lot of preservatives or more chemicals to the product, right? The other benefits can be increasing your shelf life. So imagine a garlic producer. They will not produce garlic the whole year. So he can have also products of season. He can increase shelf life. He can guarantee this is safe. He can guarantee that that product's not start to grow inside of your refrigerator. So there is a huge list of food and food products that we treat. The key technology we can use is gamma, beam, and X-ray. So these are the three ones we can treat when we're looking for food. The key goal we have here is killing bacteria. So this is not sterile. This is just phytosanitary or microbiological reduction for the product to guarantee this is safe for consumption, no matter what the production process, no matter what happened in the production process. So some customers can avoid treatment with increased production control. So there's a fine balance in there. I don't know if you guys have already gone into food and commercial products to dig a little bit more about this. I added here some key benefits that I mentioned some, but this is a market that, according to the Foodborne Net, until last year was growing 9% year over year. So when you look to the reduction of preservatives or more chemicals to the product, industries need to do something to guarantee this is safe for everybody to go for a consumption in high scale. So this is a little bit of the key selling points, why the customers go for this. And the list is endless. But I got some of the high runners for you guys. But there's much more, right? So from the first segment, I don't know if you guys have already looked into something or have curiosity around the food market industry and want to have some questions. I'm open for that.
I actually have a question. If you
Oh,
take one of these categories, seasonings, let's say, and you look
okay.
at in a typical United States grocery store, what percentage of the products have gone through something like your process?
Ooh, that's what we are trying to find.
Okay.
So we don't know exactly what's the size of this market right now. We have some estimates. So I would say I don't want to guess that number, but you will have a couple of different profiles. So you may have customers that want to sell fresh products, and they will sell it right away, no treatment, no nothing. And then you have customers that want to guarantee supply chain stability for the whole year. In that second group, that one I have stability for the whole year, 100% passes through us. There is no magic that they can do to the product to guarantee it's safe. For the first group, there is some alternatives to guarantee microbiological control as heat, steam, but doesn't guarantee the shelf life for the whole year. So I don't know, Professor Spencer, what would be the share. Last time I investigated this a little bit with the top accounts we had was like 20 to 30%. But my data is just from observation and checking on some top customers.
And one follow-up, and then I'll let you continue, or maybe students have questions. And that's that from a customer's perspective, would the customer know that this happened? Is it labeled somehow, or is it?
So it is labeled if the product is the final product. So if you're buying spices and the spices is the final product, it will come with a Hadura symbol in the packaging. If the product is just an ingredient of the final product, will be on the ingredients, and then you will see the sentence treated with irradiation. So in the list of ingredients will come spices and that text by the side. So it is shared, it is public. So we inform that, and the end user needs to inform the customers, but depends on the percentage. So imagine it's a big plate that they are selling red to eats like a lasagna, and just the spice is irradiated. They will not mark that. If it's below 1% or 0.5%, they are not doing anything. Above 5%, they start to put in the ingredients because it's relevant, and they have that text by the side.
And is that regulatory? Like above 5% they're required to, or that's just the norm?
Just norm. So there is, of course, USDA and the FDA have their takeaways on this. Every product that will be treated on irradiation need to go to a petition with the FDA. The list is huge. It's a huge list, but needs to go to a petition. But then when you go for the formulas of the product, is a little bit blurry. There is not a lot of clarity on where is the cut line, where they need to start to label or not. Normally, it's that 5%. The top players usually do.
Thanks.
You're welcome. No curiosity. Guys, irradiated food. Nobody heard about that until a couple of days ago. I don't know who likes Japanese food, like raw fish. We used to do a lot of raw fish in the past too.
We got
Hey,
a couple
Cole.
questions, Leo.
Hey, Cole.
Hey there. So, no stranger to irradiated food. I was on a submarine for a while. So
That's interesting.
yeah, the my question is, so you irradiate, right, and you're using gamma rays. I assume electron beam is electron radiation, and then X-rays. What are the controls after the fact to verify that, nothing is still irradiated, or that you're not passing that along to any consumer?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's a very, how can I say, there is a BIs in the industry about the difference between going to a radiation process and turning radioactive.
Right.
So for something to turn radioactive, we would need to change your atomic number. So basically, a product inside our machines, to turn it to radioactive, it will need to have contact or be exposed to extremely high doses of radiation. So it's physically, through our process, impossible. But there was a big discussion about that, and we can see radiation as light, right? Is a form of frequency electromagnetic wave, and it's not because you're receiving light that you will put light out. It's not going to turn you. With radiations, gamma or beta or X-ray is the same thing. Being irradiated for microbiological termination is not going to turn a product irradiative. By no means, it's physically impossible. For gemstones or semiconductors that can go through high dose, like days of treatment gemstones, it still doesn't get irradiated unless it has contact. And if that situation happens, there are tests for that, but doesn't apply to food. Food is a very, very low end. We are talking about seconds of exposure.
Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. But that was my first question when I joined the company. I said to you guys, hey, is this turning irradiated? No, it's not. I don't know who asked the hand first. Was Mark or Omar?
I'll go. Hi,
Okay. Hey
I'm
there.
Mark. My background is I did biological defense research. I'm a medical lab scientist right now, but I also was a surgical tech in the Navy in my past life.
That's
But
pretty cool.
thank you. Professor Spencer mentioned regulatory, and I wanted to ask which customer segments tend to feel regulatory or quality pressure most acutely?
Oh, medical device and pharma by a lot. When we go to commercial products like food, spices, and these kind of things, there is USDA, FDA, but they're more concerned about simple contamination, right? Bacteria and things like that. There is one thing to understand. The more complex is the form of life, easier to kill. So if you talk about a bacteria that's in food, it dies easy. When you go for something that's a product that you put inside someone, like a pharma product or an implant, those levels of contaminations are harder to control. And then there is much more regulation around that. And I feel Mander is feeling home. We have a bunch of people from the military. Nice. Thanks, guys. Does that get your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Hey, Mario.
All right. So my question is a simple one. So you are sterilizing the food products. So most of these products are locally produced, or it's an export thing, something like that.
Yeah, so that's why I added the map. So you have a big amount that is made and treated in country. So the US or Mexico or Brazil or the locations we operate in Europe, but you have a lot of overseas. So there is a bunch of product that come from Asia, India, and Latin America to the US and vice versa that is produced in one place, and then it travels the world and is treated in the final destination. So you have a little bit of both. Uh, what I see the most is a good amount of customers will prefer to do the treatment, the final sterilization in the final location. Why? Because if contamination happens in the transportation, they do the final kill step when the product finally arrives. But that's not 100% across the market. We have a lot of products that come from Vietnam to the US that is produced and treated in Vietnam and come here red to use. So there is a turning point. And to answer your question is when products are packaged very well, so like good packaging with controlled atmosphere, it can travel the world, it can do a bunch of different things and still be safe. But that's not the case for a lot of the products in the food and spice industry. Normally, packaging is very simple because it's cost sensitive, or they transport things in bulk and they use more carton packaging and things like that. So most common final sterilization at destination of the end users, but that's not a rule. There's still things that are done overseas and treated here. Clear? More or less? Good? Okay. Hey, Italo.
Hello, good evening. Thanks so much for sharing this with us. I'm a physician and I have a question regarding the quality control that you use. I guess that every product is different. I mean, sterilization in the operating room is different, but in terms of food, how do you make sure that the product that you are irradiating is, has succeed doing what it do? I mean, how do you sample? I mean, what is the minimum amount of sample that you take? I don't know. I mean, I'm asking, I guess every product has different process, but I just would like to have an idea. Thanks.
That's a very good question. So for more that we like to think we are very smart and capable and everything, We have, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of different items inside the facility, and we are not the experts on everything. So we have our consulting company, we have the labs, but in the end of the day, how this works, we are not responsible for the sterilization. Sounds great, right? How this works. During the validation process, we will define a procedure, a way of working with the customer. We do that together. So they want to treat this, we will define a process, we will define a protocol. And during that stage of studies, hey, this is what works, this guarantees the product safe, perfect. We validate that, and then we repeat that process. So we do that on the first time when the product's new for us or the customer is starting to work with us. We will run a variety of studies to guarantee that product's safe and in the standards the customer want. Once that validation is done, we just go through the repeat process. And what we will guarantee is that we repeated the process. We won't check the product. We won't open the boxes. We won't do any tests after process. The customer will do that. Nelson does some things for the medical device, like we can do after process testing, that is part of the scope. But for food and commercial, that's 100% the responsibility of the customer. And I can explain you why also very fast. So imagine I'm treating garlic and the customer sent me garlic today. Next week was raining. The contamination is different. So when they do this first study, they do the worst case scenario. So we guarantee you we repeat that process over time, but we don't check it again.
Essentially, what we're doing is we are certifying that the recipe that the customer and we have worked on that agrees to achieve their objective. Every time we run that recipe, we are validating that that recipe has been done successfully. And there are a lot of controls around that. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Good question. I always thought we were opening all the boxes too until I joined the company.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know who raised the hands first. I see Noah, Joshua, and Emmanuel.
Yeah, just real quick on that. How often
Sure.
are you updating the recipes as new pathogens or bacteria? I mean, I'm assuming that's again working with is it Nelson Labs? But is that on the customer to identify, hey, something's changed, we need to rework this, or do you guys reach out to them and say, oh, we found this, we found that, we should come back to the table, talk about a new process, and then test it from then, and then start doing the same as you did before?
Good question. So there is normative about revalidations and annual revalidations, but the short answer is every time there is a change. So if there's no change, they will follow whatever normative tells them to do. It's a 6 month, it's a 1 year, it's a 2 year. But if there's a change, they need to revalidate because the change may cause another change in our processing to guarantee that we are still delivering what they want. So every time there's a change, necessarily they want to run new studies or through their quarterly, annual, or every 6 months revalidation, depending on the product.
And
Does
the
I get that?
customer files that paperwork with the regulatory bodies.
Yeah.
Saying that I certify nothing has changed. And then if something has changed, they have an entire function that is around sterilization, sterility. And they're the ones that are protecting us, the consumers, to ensure that we're not exposed to something that's not safe.
Thank you. That's super helpful.
Yep.
Okay. Joshua, Emmanuel.
Yeah, I was curious about how long that like initial validation period takes, especially if like you're planning on expanding like for this project into new markets, into new regions, how that would kind of play into effect with that whole setup.
Okay, that's a deep question. So let's take a very simple product. So somebody's treating spices, right? And they want to kill a bacteria, and they send the product to us, and we define 2 doses for them. right? The minimum dose where I deliver everything they want, and the maximum dose where I start to create something they don't want, right? Okay. The next question is, what tests is this customer looking to do? So maybe a very simple product like pet treats. They just want to guarantee the microbiological part is safe. That's fast. In a week or two, we can get this done. If they want to run like if it's flour and they want to test cooking, they want to test organoleptic like smell, taste, and things like that, it can take a long time. So we will see things from 2 weeks to 1, 2 years, depending on the complexity of the product. But most part of the products inside commercial, it's in between the 2 weeks and 2 months, no more than that. Does that get
So,
it?
so yeah, just to clarify, so it's really the customer who's driving how long that period takes when they come back and forth with their own testing once the sterilization and those dosages have been defined.
Yeah, in commercial segments like these non-healthcare products, yes. When you go to healthcare, is a different game. They need to run a full validation. There is some windows of time that they need to try out the products. But for commercial, yes. If it's a very simple pet treat products, a couple 2 weeks we can get it done. It's fast.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Emmanuel.
Hi, thank you for taking the time to speak with us.
A pleasure.
I had a specific question about the European market. I know you guys do gamma sterilization and I see Belgium, UK, and Italy here. Any specifics on how much of that is imported goods versus exported goods?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't have a precise answer about the commercial products getting into the European market. I know they import a lot. Local productions tend to be for food and spices in European segments tends to be limited. Farming and farming fields is very restricted. So I know it's limited, but I don't have the precise number for you, Emmanuel.
Oh, thank you.
That's actually one of the things that we're hopeful that you will help us with. This is not a segment in which there is an industry group that collects information and shares what the overall demands are. So that's a big part of this project where we look at what's the total available market and then what's the serviceable available market based on our facilities, locations, and so forth. So that question, we're hopeful that you all will be able to come back and give us a little bit more definition.
We got you, man. That the question is going back to you.
We'll try our best.
Thank you.
We'll work. Victor?
Yeah, so hopefully this is an easy question to answer, but in general, could you speak to some of the concerns that usually bring companies to come and do business with you guys? For example, like is it regulatory compliance that they find out about your company and the solutions that they provide? And if so, like in the European economy, for example, do you have a specific country that is really trying to get ahead of the game, for lack of better terms?
Yeah, so for first part of your question, what brings customers to work with us? I used to tell my sales team there is love or pain, right? So if they have a good R&D department and a good QA department, they will work hard to guarantee their product is safe for consumers. They don't want to have a recall. They don't want to have a product uh, with mold in the market. So they will look for something to guarantee their product is safe and is not going to hurt or harm nobody, right? And these guys, when they start doing this journey, they will go to the authorities, they will go to FDA, USDA, the ASTA, that's American Spice Trade Association, and others, and check on available alternatives to guarantee the product safe. And then they find us there, and then we work on the validation and everything. The other group of customers that are the ones that comes from the pain is because, or they have a recall. So you can see public. All the recalls FDA does are public, and there is a lot of recalls every week for contamination, for mold, for bacteria they found. So it happens all the time. That doesn't mean it's not a regulated environment. No, maybe the customer had a kill step and something changed and passed it through his process, or he have a packaging failure. So then they come to us when they already have a problem. So these are the two big groups we have right now where they find us. Big corporations like the top five, you go like Nestle, PepsiCo, these guys, they all know about our business. So they have that in the list there. There is a little bit of BIs against irradiation because it's not very common for these guys to debate internally, but they are all huge users of the solutions we serve. When we look about Europe, if there is any specific country we want to penetrate more, or even in the Americas, the answer is we don't know. So this is why we are looking to do this research and understand a little bit more the markets. And it's not that, hey, Leo is not smart and he doesn't know the market he plays in. It's just data is challenging in commercial segments to cross-reference and investigate that much in deep. So once we do the TAMs and SANs and we start to look a little bit more on the regional, I think we will be capable to answer that question.
All right, thank you so much. Sounds like you guys grouped it into compliance and recall. So thank you.
Yeah, that's the two big ones. Something.
Yes, thank you so much. This is so
Pleasure.
helpful. I have two questions. I'm sorry, I'm going to be
Sure.
greedy. I think those are my only two questions for tonight. Just sticking with Europe, my group on Tuesdays also has Europe. So I'm wondering, are there particular assumptions about the European market that you would especially like us to test or challenge?
That's a very good question. So it's a yes. We want to investigate more on the food, like these four segments. I think there's a big opportunity in there. During the last, I would say 5 to 10 years, local food cosmetics industries have started to reduce chemical ingredients. So when you go to like a cosmetic industry and they say, hey, have almonds, how you have almonds in something guaranteed safe for 6 months without getting completely destroyed in your hand or getting you some problem in your face. So I think Europe can be big on cosmetics, can be big on food packaging. Like these little pouches we see everywhere now, right? Small pouches everywhere. Everybody was thinking, hey, packaging and plastic consumption will go down, and now we have more plastic and individual packaging for everything. That's food safety. So they want to reduce the amount of the unit. So those segments I think can be pretty interesting. On the food itself, I see some transition in Europe from the organic to something with a little bit more shelf life. But for that segment specifically, I don't know. And the same answer for the pet treats. I see some more growing pet treats demand in Europe, but similar to what I see in Latin America, Europe, like people don't have dogs living inside their homes like in the US. In the US, dogs it's like a kid living inside the house. So if you have a pet treat, your dog is eating, it's in the floor of your house. Your kids are putting their hand on that. So there is more concern on pet food and pet treats in North America than Latin America, where I came from, or Europe. But we haven't been that deep down in details to see if it's like for all countries or just our general assumptions.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's a challenging question.
Yeah, it helps me a lot though.
Oh yeah,
It's a vast project.
we will be working together for a while, and I can extend that question for our sales team back there. And hey, I got this question and I have a bad time answering. I can share
No, you
that.
did great. Thank you.
Oh,
My
good.
second question was just when evaluating new markets or expansion, what constraints tend to matter most internally? Is it like capital intensity, regulatory approval timelines, customer concentration, or operational complexity?
So I would say it's volume and demand. If there's demand, if there's enough volume in specific location, that can turn into a decent business plan and make a new facility or an expansion viable for that location. We have a couple ongoing expansions plans inside the company, and it all comes from demand, right? You may start to investigate some specific regions, say, hey, there's a lot of demand here and there's no presence, and that could drive expansion. So that would be the number one, right? Having demand for something in a region, that's one. The second one is being authorized to do. So if that region doesn't authorize us to have a facility there, that's a no-go. But we haven't faced much of that. So I would stick with the demand as our bigger one. I don't know if you have a different perception on that.
I think that's appropriate. And maybe just for a quick time-wise, do we have a time constraint for the class?
I was about to cut them off, but the questions have been quite good. But I noticed, I think that you have 28.
So I have a problem with
And then
slides.
go through a few more slides and then
No, I have a problem. I make too much, but all the others are just the segments, why we do it, benefits, and samples.
Also, the students, this is available to you in Blackboard, so you can, if we don't get to all the slides, you can read them. So
yes, and I added in the end some of the competition we have and our academy. That if you read this QR code I tested, it will take you there, and it's very interesting.
Okay, so maybe we just continue on with some Q&A then, if they can
Hey,
read
Mark.
the notes on their own. Yeah.
Great.
Sorry, did I got your answer right, or do you still miss something? Sorry.
No, it's been very helpful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mark.
Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties with my computer. The last
That's
question
okay.
kind of made me think about this. So when you enter a new region or country, how centralized versus local is decision making?
Ooh, yeah, that's a nice one. So depends. When we go like Latin America and we are like Brazil, it's very localized. So you have big players there, but because of the distance and cultural differences, there's more local decision-making process than all escalating back to headquarters. Mexico, we need to break Mexico in middle. Everything from the middle down, there's a lot of local decision making, but from the middle up, it's majorities headquartered decision makers. We operate locally. So to get a little bit of that, we are local in majority of the facilities with the sales team and representatives to have these interactions with the customer and get locals to support wherever they want to do. But there's a bunch of customers that, hey, I follow these rules worldwide. It's not because this country doesn't follow the same standard that they will lower the bar there. As a sample of that, we can't treat food and spices with ethylene oxide in the US, but you can in Brazil. We don't, but you can. So there is a mix of everything. I would say when you go for big corporations, very much headquartered with local development supported.
It sounds like for the most part, your governance model is balanced.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you for that answer.
Oh, hey, you're welcome.
Mark, are you asking about our decisions of where we will make investments, or are you talking about the customer?
Both.
Okay. So I think Leo was referring to more the customer in the industry.
Yeah.
For us as an organization, our capital deployment is definitely managed out of our headquarters here out of the US. So my office is here with the chairman. So our business unit president, we will create the commercial demand and justification, and then we go through our return on investment analysis, and we have certain hurdle rates that we look at to justify investments. And so to put it into perspective, a new gamma facility is somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 million. An EO facility will be $100 million. An X-ray is $70 million. So these are significant investments for a multitude of reasons, and so there is a lot of governance that has happened, but we do look for and depend upon the regional leadership to stand behind their business request for an expansion, and then we go through the appropriate due diligence.
That's very informative. Thank you.
Yep.
That was a big answer. Okay, Veronica.
Okay, just a quick unrelated question, and then I'm gonna have a
No.
really good one for you guys, okay? Are you responsible for the recall of the radioactive shrimp?
Oh no, that was not related to us at all.
It's been
We heard
circulating in the
we heard
media
about
about the
that.
radioactive shrimp.
Yeah.
But so my question is about so there's
But was not us, and we don't do shrimp.
So there's been a lot of recalls, and you guys know there's always every week there's some kind of recalls, and
Yeah.
the community, local communities are very concerned about environmental impact. Also there's like concern about ethylene oxide. And this is one of your modalities that you guys are using for as a gas treatment, correct? So
Yeah.
Correct.
also you mentioned that it is important for your industry, the volume and the demand, correct? So all these concerns and the push for more like an organic kind of eating, organic products. And you mentioned that organic products, a lot of them are not on the list of your in this like treatment, correct? Will
Yeah.
will this push impact your strategies in the future, in terms of entering different markets and expansion? Would that impact your decisions, either entering the market or not? Because I feel like it drives the demand for your product or
Yeah.
your
So
service.
we don't do ethylene oxide for food, spices. This is a regulatory restriction. But we don't. And the organic demand, for more that we like it, and we have like when we think about organic, it's not just foods like cotton. Like if you have cotton for any kind of application, and it's labeled organic, there's some restrictions about that, but it's a very small market. The organic products in itself tends to be small and locally driven, so doesn't have a lot of shelf life to travel across the country to sell it. So no, we know some restrictions on organic. We sized that market in the past due to some demands because we got customer calling, and the volume were never significant. But if you start going through these and hey, organic is huge, that's still an area we can't go. And it's not only just us. A lot of different sterilization modalities can't be used for organic. Organic should be like the guy got it there and it's going for you. There's no change in the middle of that road. But we see that markets being big. Yeah, unfortunately, it will be for the regulations we have today, an area we can't play. But demand is what drives it, right? So we need to find the ones we can do. There's a couple of things we can't, like sugar. There's a huge volume of sugar-based products. If sugar concentration is high, that's a problem for irradiation. So that's a technical restriction.
Thank you. So would you consider the European market expansion is a little challenging since they are normally heavily regulated there?
For some segments, maybe yes, but there is some others where there is much more demand because of that, like the packaging. So because you have individual packaging, things like that, that regulation, it makes bigger market. Then you have cosmetics, right? You want to have natural products in cosmetic products. So if you have anything or in cosmetics that contains almonds will go muddy in a couple weeks. So if you have that in a cosmetic packaging, you need something to guarantee that's safe. So there is more demand in cosmetics and packaging, I believe, because of that, and TBD around the pet treats industry animal nutrition too.
Thank
Timothy,
you so much.
you're welcome. If I didn't answer your question, please come back. Timothy, I don't know
Timothy,
if you're,
are you
I don't
there?
know if you're, I don't know if you're talking or mute. You're mute and I don't see
Yeah,
you.
because we can't see you, Timothy, so we don't know if you're talking or if you're on mute.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on.
Umair?
So I have a question.
Sure.
If we want to run an awareness program regarding radiation of the food, especially, will company be able to give a sponsorship for that?
It depends. So we have 2 weeks ago, I joined an university meeting with Aaron Dement, one of our vice presidents here. He's a big brain guy, one of our technology guys inside the company. These guys had a new technology they want to show us for treatment of food and things like that. So if it makes sense, if it's a project that can be scalable, we would really like to listen that and bring that to our board for sure. I've been in a couple of them during the last 5 years. Very interesting. If we can find that balance of, hey, this can be high scale and can be price efficient and safe, yeah, it's worth talking for sure. We have a full team of R&D here and expansions that would love to have new ideas on the table.
Thank you.
Hope you have one.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it to capture the market.
Okay. Hey, Philip.
Hi, thank you for your time. I have
Pleasure.
a question about South America. I'm from South America. I'm from Ecuador, and
Hmm.
yeah, I see that you only work with Brazil. Have you ever tried? Or I know that now we're looking to expand in a way, but before, like in the past, have you tried to expand to other countries in South America, or? Yeah, regulations or I feel South America is an emerging market, so there's a lot of in a way space for growth. So yeah, I wanted to know if Sterigenics has tried in expanding that Brazil presence to other countries in South America.
Yeah, it's a good question. And my first year in the company, I went a lot of that a bunch of times, and I got feel a little bit overloaded with expansions and stuff like that. And the short answer is it's a yes answer, but needs to have demand. So when you look for the GDP across Latin America, and then you put like Brazil and Mexico, and then you go to healthcare expenditure, that is 65-70% of what we do. It's the biggest players. And then you push that and you see where the manufacturers are. We are covering the biggest locations for Latin America. This is why we stayed Costa Rica, Mexico, and Brazil. We have 4 operational sites in Brazil. We have 2 in Mexico and 1 in Costa Rica. When you think about the sterilization facility and we talk about volumes to justify a facility, we would be looking to something like 10 trucks a day. So when you go to countries where populations is small, like 40 million people, 50 million people, it's hard to justify a facility because most of the products for that location is coming from outside. So we did look into that, but never really move it forward because of demand in country versus what they import already ready to use. But we always review that, Philip. We always review, we always check markets, we always check expansions. There are some discussions for Latin America going on, more Central America locations. So it's a live research we have here.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Jessica.
Hi. Um, so my question is, do you have you noticed any economies of scale like by expanding in the same market? So like if you're using, do you use the same facilities for different types? Like if you're using, I think it says like you guys have electron beam in Denmark, if you were to expand and used gamma there, like are there any savings you get from doing that?
Yeah, that's a dream. That's we would love to go that direction if demand supports us. Um, one of the expansions we are doing right now, the X-ray facility, is close by a gamma facility. So that helps the scale gains of cost dilution, SG&A, and all of that. So it's great. The big question remains on the demand. Now you guys see why we want you so much to research these things, right? So that's a short answer. Once we get clarity on the demands close to the sites, that's one of the decisions we can take. But not only expanding on a new site, but even expanding the current site that can increase in capacity or efficiency or mix. So those are things we can take decisions on moving forward. And when I first spoke with Phil and I saw Professor Spencer project and I ran through the details, there was this can help us to take a lot of these decisions and answer some of these questions without speculative and guessing data on the table. So yes, we could. We just don't know where and the data.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome. Victor?
Thanks again. This has been super interesting. So it sounds
Nice.
like from what I'm hearing, your target audience is going to be mostly corporate. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. Just because of the high sticker price for your facilities, which I'm grateful you guys went ahead and exposed or discussed the footprint cost, right? You said that there's some room for an awareness campaign depending on the demand. So I guess I'm just going to ask you a really straightforward question here. You gave the example of 30% of the GDP was dedicated to the healthcare market, and that equated to roughly 4 facilities. So are these the type of numbers that you guys are looking for? What's going to make you get out of the term bill like this is something that we have the room and appetite for? And what's your timeline for investment? Is it in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And when we look to investments, we look to investors. It's people like us, right? With a bunch of money, but it's just normal people in the end of the day. And what they're looking for is return on their investments. So if we have a good business planning in place, the appetite goes high, right? If I say, hey, I'm putting a new facility in an area full of competitors for a low margin product, yeah, that can take a while to happen. But hey, we found a location here. There's no supplier close by, and there's demand. That's faster, but the decision process and Phil's part of that, it can take a certain time. It can take from 6 months to 2 years to decide on the investment, and then another 2 to 3 years for construction.
Just to add a couple comments to that, we're investing heavily. We spend over $200 million in CapEx on an annual basis. We are active in M&A all the time. And so it really becomes a question of the size of the opportunity that justifies the return on investment. Just for a high level, our hurdle rate is a 20% when we look at our IRRs for our investments over a 10-year period. So as you all are collecting information and learning about the demand, and again, demand doesn't always need to be at the point of manufacturing, it can be at a point of consumption. So distribution location is where it gets very important. We put a shovel in the ground, it's going to be there for 35 plus years. If people are moving around, this is one of the challenges we have in the other segments, medical device and pharmaceuticals, as they move around the country, low-cost region sourcing, that creates an abandoned asset for us. And so that's something that we have to avoid at all costs. So looking at the economies of scales are very important. Okay.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Hey, Italo.
Hello, yeah, thanks again. So I saw that in the first slide, the Gamma product is the like 49-50% of the product mix. So what are the competitive advantage of this product in the US? I mean, you mentioned that you have several competitors. I know that is maybe different here in Europe, but I just want to have an idea in case you need to expand to South America, for example.
Yeah. I can sound very fancy when answering against competition, right? But long story short, like competition is good. And if everybody's doing the right things, that's good for the customers, good for the market. What we don't want is competitors not playing by the rules and damaging the technology perception. But today, our advantage when we look to gamer radiation, turn times is one, simplicity is another one. When you go to a gamma site, it's extremely simple. It's simple to the point it's boring. Basically, you have a gamma cell and you have a transportation system that goes inside a bunker. We put the pallet in one side in a conveyor system. It goes inside the bunker and then gets on the other side, and that's it. We control basically time. And one leverage we have is that we produce cobalt. So our ability to grow and sustain customers' demand long term, it's extremely strong, as well as the agility to do that. So, but I think the market overall, when looking to Gamma, is a solid market in terms of suppliers in US or Europe. We may have some leverage in turn times. You can have leverage in capacity to grow. They may have leverage in pricing for some reasons, for some regions. But overall, we guarantee our customers are sleeping safe. So if you think about the concerns a customer may have, imagine you're on the seat of a big food manufacturer industry. What's your concern number one? You don't want to hurt nobody. So you don't want your product out there hurting somebody. Because if that happens, and you saw recently a recall with a food chain customer in the US because of onions, that was a massive loss of money because of a recall. So that's the first thing you don't want. The second thing you don't want is not to have your product ready to sell. So if you're dealing with big wholesalers like Walmart, Costco, or any other chain, you want to guarantee your products there. So having a reliable partner in that journey for you, it's extremely important. So I would say these are two solid leverage we have. That is ability to grow and guarantee sustainable supply chain for them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I could go through, oh, we are more beautiful, our quality is better, but when I talk to the procurement guy, these are really the pain points for them.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you.
So I want to make sure that we're respectful of your time. So maybe we can answer questions from these three with their hands up, Jose, Nicole, and Mark. And John actually has a question in the chat, and then we can wrap it up.
Okay. Hey, Jose. Jose?
Yes. Hello, Leo.
Hey there.
A few questions ago, you mentioned something about South America. You said that one of the challenges of entering markets outside Brazil or Mexico is the size of the market or the demand, which is totally understandable. But you also mentioned Costa Rica, which has a population of, I think, 5 million people. How you decide to enter Costa Rica despite the relatively small market size, or in any case, if Costa Rica is like the base to serve demand in all Central America outside of Mexico, why Costa Rica, or why not Panama or El Salvador? Thank you.
You're reading my board mind from this week. So Costa Rica is a free tax zone. So there's a lot of big corporations playing there with relevant tax benefit. You also have that turned into a very intense industrial hotspot. So besides the small population, they manufacture to export. So it's not local economy driven. It's more about what they do there to export. I've been there a couple of times during the last 10 years, and the growth and the new facilities there is just wild. It's insane. Every day there's a new manufacturing popping up in Costa Rica. So that was the reason. And there are more locations in Central America that are getting more interesting in terms of investments for the same reason. It's turning into a hub of manufacturing to more countries than just their local population.
And to build on that, as Leo had said earlier, medical device, pharmaceutical, you have greater opportunities to sterilize locally and then ship your product to an intended market. Where in the commercial segment, you risk that through the logistics, putting it onto a ship and then exporting that product, that it will pick up again microbes. So it has some kind of contamination which you'd have to treat again, which is very, very different than medical device products.
Good point.
Nicole?
Okay, Nicole?
Hey, so obviously this is a very necessary service, but it's something that the customer may not recognize is going on. Like as a consumer of pharmaceuticals and commercial products and all, this isn't a step in the process I think about on the end of the line, right? So taking it back a few steps, what does brand recognition look like for the companies that you're working most closely with? And is there an industry where brand recognition is the strongest, or between countries where it's the strongest? Anything like that we should consider?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And sharing a little bit of my sales journey with Sterigenics, every time I meet a customer that never spoke with us, don't know what we do, and have no idea about sterilization, they just don't care about us. Sterilization will be like point something percent to 5% of their cost breakdown. So they will take the procurement people, they will send that to somebody as a side and, hey, take care of these guys. But then they realize that we are part of their supply chain. And when you look to a vacuum tube for blood collection, without sterilization, that's just plastic. There's no value in it. So as the customer progress in the journey of understanding how much value we add to their products, then the brand recognition goes very strong. When they don't know us or they are not very familiar with the sterilization process, they don't seem like very in love with the technology or the company or the suppliers in that field. But then when they start to see how does that work, turns very, very important. Sterigenics brand recognition is very strong across all the Americas, Europe, Asia. So we are very known in the industries. In commercial segments, we are also very known, but not so much. So when you go to food industries, there is still a lot of customers that doesn't know us. Or because they have some solution in-house. So, hey, I do steam treatment in-house. I never had a problem. So they never had that trigger to search for us. And for more that we promoted for these guys, they never had the trigger. So they don't know us, but we are working that. We have a couple marketing campaigns we want to run for that. We did a bunch of seminars this year for some specific industries like pet treats and some others. So it's ongoing, but short answer, brand, very well known across all the Americas, Europe, very strong. And for the customers, the importance of that goes in line with their journey of learning what we do. It's like having car insurance. If you never hit your car, you don't know how much you need car insurance, right? Until you hit it for the first time.
So Mark, I think you're going to wrap us up, and then I'll ask John's question because he put it in the chat.
Thank you, Professor.
I can't see. Okay. Hey, Mark.
How can we reach out if we have further questions or we think of like questions later on? And my last one is there anything we should be careful not to assume as we develop our recommendations?
Let me answer the first question for him, because I'm just going to suggest that when you're going to have questions as you go along, and if you send them through me, I can kind of compile them so he's not getting kind of constant emails from lots of people. So send them to me. When I get maybe 5 questions, I'll send it to them. And then, so there'll be a little bit of a lag, but it'll also be more respectful of their time. And I'll let him answer the other question.
Yeah. So I wouldn't limit it, the non-go zones. I've been during the last 10 years, hey, this doesn't work with the technology. And then we study, it worked. But I also wouldn't put time and effort on small side tasks, like it's a small volume customers, a small product scale. I wouldn't put effort on that. So my driving for this is like you can be creative enough, and as you go down the product list and stuff like that, but you need to be organized enough to do a prioritization as you, hey, this is a small market, this is niche stuff. So keep the focus on the big ones, but don't discard things up front, right? But focus on the core ones, the high runners. These are the big ones. You will find thousands and thousands of different products. Every day there's a new spice, there's a new food ingredient, there's something, right? So keep the eyes on the high runner. But if something calls out your attention, give it some thought, give some investigation, but check for volumes and volumes.
And Leo, maybe to
Yeah.
help quantify this for them in terms of a measurement of volumes. What would you consider to be large volume versus medium volume and small volume? How would you quantify that on an annualized basis? What would you say small volume for me on an annual basis is? Is it given maybe in tons? What kind of a metric that they might be able to use as they're researching different segments, customers, and applications?
Okay. When you go for pet treats, I can make that very generic. So if you look to a small customer is sending a truck every quarter, that's a small customer. A truck every quarter, he will be an okay customer, but it's a small one. A decent sized customer start to send a truck a week. That's a decent customer. They have a truck every week. They have high volumes for the products and stuff like that. The good ones, like 5 trucks a week plus, that would be good volumes. And when I say trucks, like a full truckload of product, that's a good volume. A truck a week is a good volume when you find these customers. So everything like a truck per quarter, you can think it's a small guy. A truck a week, you can think it's a medium size to small in some of these sub segments, and a decent one, a truck per day.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
Sorry. And is a truck is like 18-wheeler or like a small size?
Good one. No, the big ones.
The 18-wheelers.
The big ones for 30 plus pallets.
Okay, thank you.
Let me ask John's question for him because he wrote it in the chat. It says, what factors most influence the decision, I think, on sterilization location? So I think this is from the perspective of the client. How do they decide if they're going to sterilize close to the origin or close to the customer?
Sure. First, if the product can handle the trip without sterilization. So imagine you're doing pet treats, and then you have a container full of pig ears, and you're shipping that 30 days in the ocean. How is that going to land in your customer? For more that you do the sterilization there, it will arrive ugly, smelly, and full of bees everywhere, full of stuff. So what will determine that? Logistics is a crucial role. Customer logistics costs have raised crazy during the last 5 years. So they will try to do something in the route of supply chain. So everything that's closer to their manufacturing and distribution locations will be ideal. And that second one is if the product can handle the transportation. Normally, dry spices, freeze products, or dehydrated or preheated, these things can last long without sterilization, and customers would be okay with shipping at final destination, even when they manufacture overseas. Does that get it? It's a challenging one.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for all of your time. You were really generous with your time, and the students learned a lot. I know I learned a lot. Sort of next steps. The Margaret had a question about follow-up questions. So the follow-up questions come to me. I'll compile them so that he can sort of take it Friday afternoon and answer them or something at in sort of a reasonable time. But also, I'll remind you that he'll be coming, Leo will be coming, I'm not sure if Phil is able to come or not, on March 17th. That's a Tuesday, so for the Tuesday students, and the Wednesday students are invited to attend. And that's for more Q&A. Like at that point, you'll have done research, you'll have sort of a more educated kind of perspective to ask follow-up questions. And so, so some of the questions, you know, you're kind of planning on it then, but certainly there are going to be more urgent questions, and shoot those to me ahead of time.
Very good.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much. I know the students are appreciative, and this is really getting them started well. So plus we learned a lot about sort of how, you know, your industry works and how businesses operate in your industry. So that's really helpful.
Oh, thank you guys a lot. I love the curiosity. That's the number one to drive solution, right? Is trying to understand and building on real questions. Thank you very much for the questions. Thank you very much for you guys' time. And I'm very excited to work this together with you.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a great evening. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Stay
you.
warm, everybody.